What's up everybody, Brad here. This is our first rendition of 101. Today we're going to be talking about kind of the basics of painting. There's a lot of stuff out there that shows you how to paint, advanced tutorials, but if you're a brand new person, there's a lot of things that will help you right off the bat. So to start off, typically right after you build, you're going to prime your models. So priming and basing. The fastest way is to use spray cans. You can get a color that you like, a color from Games Workshop. Make sure you spray prime, make sure that the weather is appropriate though so you don't mess your models up. And then you can also then spray base coat. This will give you a really good starting foundation and allow you to then add your next colors very quickly. The second part to painting is adding multiple colors. Now, as a beginner, you might not want to go out there and buy every single color. So let's get yourself started. Buy your main color that you want to use, buy a black and a white. Now you can mix your colors. Now you don't want to mix your colors in the bottles obviously or anything like that. So what is very helpful to do that brings us to the next tip. Next tip is going to be using a wet palette. A wet palette looks like this. Basically, there's lots of ways you can make a wet palette. What I do is I take a paper towel, I'll soak it in water, I'll fold it up, and then I will take some parchment paper on top of that, and I will pour my paints on there. Now when you pour your paint on there, it keeps it nice and wet, keeps it from drying, and you can also mix your paints and thin them there. The next little pointer is going to be thinning your paints. So dipping right into the bottle and everything like that, you're gonna get really thick, goopy paint. Now, if you take that paint and you put it on your model, you're gonna mess up a lot of your detail, a lot of your line work, and it's just gonna look like you're gooping your paint on there. So put it on the wet palette, add some water to it, thin it out a little bit. Now, if you don't really know how much to thin it out, you gotta kind of play with it, get what feels right for you, but putting on a couple thin coats is way better than putting on a thick coat. Usually it's 2 to 3 thin coats of a base and a color above that and your detail. So yes, it seems like a lot of coats of paint and a long task, but in the end result, it is a lot better than just taking a big goop of paint and just slapping it on there. Once again, as a beginner, you might not want to buy a ton of brushes. So we're going to keep this to a minimal. 3 types of brushes. You want a thin brush, a basing brush, which is a little bit thicker, and then a dry brush. There's a lot of different styles of dry brushes. You could take a more coarse brush, one that has an angle to it, kind of preference and depends what you're dry brushing. So if you stick to those 3 kind of standard brushes, rather than using one brush for everything, you'll get a way better look and a way better feel and more detail while you're painting. One common mistake that a lot of new beginners do is they don't want to clean their brush. You want to just keep painting and keep painting. Well, as you paint, your brush is going to get dried up and full of paint. What that's going to do is it's going to spread the bristles out. So you want to make sure that every now and then you're cleaning your brush off and keeping it fresh and keeping it to a point. Now, another misconception is if you take that and you dip it into a cup and you'll just, swirl it around a little, your brush is hitting the sides and the bottom of the cup, what you're going to do is you're going to spread your bristles out. So you can get a brush cleaner, you could run it under water faucet with your fingers, something where you're able to keep it to a point, keep the bristles together rather than dipping it in and rubbing along a surface to spread it out. That'll not only save your brushes, save you some time and money, but it will make your models end up looking way better in the end. So that about does it for our first episode of 101. We'll be back next time. Thanks for watching.